Hi children! So we're back with our Year 1 Maths New Learning lesson, Lesson 6. And this week we're going to be using our learning about fractions, about halves and quarters. We're going to be using them to find fractions of amounts. We're going to find out how to do that today. But first of all, I know you know this question off by heart now, but what does the word equal mean? Have a think, pause the video, have a chat. You know this, don't you? The word equal means the same as. If something is equal, it means it's exactly the same as the other thing. Well done. Okay, children, so we've got a little bit of a problem here. Let's have a look. So there are two children. We've got Joe and Lily. And there are 8 cupcakes. Let's count the cupcakes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 cupcakes. Now their mum, she says that if Lily has half the cakes and Joe has half the cakes, they'll have an equal amount. That means they'll have the same amount of cupcakes. Is mum correct, children? Is mum correct that if Lily has half the cupcakes and Joe has half the cupcakes, they'll have an equal amount? Let's find out, children. Now, can you remember that when we halve something, we split it into 2 parts? Okay, we cut it in half, we split it into 2 parts. So we need to share the cakes between the 2 children. So let's find out what half of 8 is by sharing the cakes. Okay, so here's Lily's plate and here's Joe's plate. Oh, I bet these children are looking forward to their strawberry cakes. And we're going to share these cakes. Okay, we're going to halve the cakes. We're going to give half to Joe and half to Lily. Right, so one goes and is given to Joe, another goes and is given to Lily. We'll take one more and give it to Joe. We're sharing them equally, one at a time. We take the next one, give it to Lily. We take the next cupcake, we give it back to Joe. The next one goes to Lily, so it's fair and equal. Take that one, goes to Joe. Take the last one and we give it to Lily. Oh, children, look at Joe and Lily's plates. So Joe has 1, 2, 3, 4 cupcakes, and Lily has 1, 2, 3, 4 cupcakes. We split the 8 cupcakes in half. We shared those 8 cupcakes into halves, and each child got 4 cupcakes. So half of 8 is 4. Each child gets 4 cakes, which is half of the cakes. So mum was correct because Joe and Lily have both got 4 cupcakes. Okay, children, well done. You found what half of 8 was. You found out what half of 8 was by sharing it into 2 groups, by splitting it in half. Shall we have a go at another problem now? Right, oh, look at that beautiful dog. This is Boris the dog, and he has found 10 bones in a hole. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He wants to take half of the bones home. He only wants to take half of the bones home. So there are 10 bones, but he only wants half of them. What are we going to have to do, children? Can you talk to your adult or have a think in your head or talk to a friend? How could we find half of 10? How could we find half of the 10 bones? Well, children, let's find out what half of 10 is. Let's halve those 10 bones. So when we halve something, we split it into 2 parts. Do you remember that? We split it into 2 parts. So in order to find out what half of 10 bones is, we have to share the bones into 2 parts. So let's share the bones. Let's share those 10 bones into 10 parts. We're going to share them into halves. So we'll have 1 part there and 1 part there. You ready? Let's share the bones out. Got to make sure we do it equally and fairly. So 1 goes, we'll put it in the blue group. Another goes, we'll give it to the green, 1 at a time. We take another 1 and give it to the blue group. Then another 1 to the green. Take 1 from the blue, 1 to the green, 1 to the blue, 1 to the green, 1 to the blue, and 1 to the green. Now, children, remember that if we split something in half, okay, if we're halving something, both groups have to be equal. Both groups have to be the same. So let's check that both groups have got the same amount of bones. Let's count them. So this group, the blue group, has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the blue group has 5 bones. The next group should have exactly the same, because when we halve something, it should be exactly the same. So let's find out how many the green group has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fantastic. Well done, children. We did a brilliant job. Okay, because we have found out what half of 10 bones is. Now that is, I've just circled 1/2. So 1/2, this is what Boris wants to take home. Okay, so he didn't want to take home 10, so we shared the 10 into 2 parts. We shared the 10 bones into half. We halved the 10 bones, and I've circled 1/2. So how many bones is Boris taking home? Yes, he's taking home 5 bones. So half of 10 bones, half of the 10 bones, he's taking home 5 bones. Well, okay, children, now it's your turn, and you're going to try and work out what half of 6 is. So I'd like you to get 6 cubes, or 6, any little 6 things. You might have 6 cubes, 6 bits of pasta, okay, and you need 2 bowls or 2 paper plates, anything that you have, okay. So I've got 6 cubes and my 2 bowls. Now I want to halve those 6 cubes. How am I going to halve the 6 cubes? What do I need to do? Have a think what we just did with Boris's bones. Have a chat to your adult, or have a think in your head, or chat to someone you're with. How could we halve the 6 cubes? Have a chat. Yes, children, when we halve something, when we want to find half, we have to split it into 2 parts. We have to share it into 2 parts, into 2 groups. So I have got my 2 circles here. Okay, and they're going to be my 2 halves. So let's share my 6 cubes and find out what half of 6 will be. So can you do that for me? You share those 6 cubes between the 2 bowls, and you can find out what half of 6 is. So I'm going to take 1 and give it to the blue group, take another 1 and give it to the green group to make it fair, take 1 and give it to the blue group, take 1 and give it to the green group, take 1 from the blue to the blue group, and then give 1 to the green group. So we've halved those 6 cubes. We've cut them in half. Okay, cut the 6 cubes in half. Oh look, the blue group has got 3 cubes, and the green group has got 3 cubes. So now we've split the cubes into 2 parts. Okay, we've shared them out into 2 parts. Now we have 2 halves. We've got 1/2 here and 1/2 here. I can do my half sign. So there's half of the cubes in the green group, and then half of the cubes are in the blue group. If we put those cubes all back together, we'd have our whole. We'd have 6 cubes again. But we have shared them out into 2 groups, so we've halved them. So let's circle 1/2, because we only want to find out what half of 6 is, what 1/2 of 6 is. So I'm going to circle 1/2. So what is 1/2 of 6? How many have you got in 1/2 in one group? Yes, children, 1/2 of 6 is 3. Well done. Shall we see if we can do another one now? Okay, children, so it's your turn again. And this time, I challenge you to find half of 2. What's half of 2? So you need to get 2 cubes or 2 little things and 2 bowls or 2 paper plates, whatever you have. There they are. There are my 2 cubes and my 2 bowls. Now, I want to halve them. I want to find half of 2. I want to halve it. Can you have a think? Have a chat to your adult or have a think. What are we going to do to find what half of 2 is? What do we need to do? You can pause the video, have a think. Okay, children. Yes, you're right. When we halve something, when we want to find half, we have to split it into 2 parts. So we need to share the 2 groups into the 2 cubes into 2 parts. So let's share them. You have a go, you do it, and then we'll check if you got it right. Off you go. Okay, so guys, let's have a look. We're going to take 1 cube and give it to the blue group. We've got another cube and we give it to the green. Oh look, we've shared our whole 2 cubes. We've shared them into 2 groups. And because we've shared it into 2 groups, into 2 parts, we have found what half is. So 1/2 of 2 is 1, and the other half of 2 is 1, because 1 add 1 makes our whole 2. So now we have split the cubes into 2 parts. We now have 2 halves. I can draw my half side. There's 1/2 of 2. So 1/2 of 2 is 1. And then here's our other half of 2, which is 1. Let's circle 1/2 because we only wanted to find out what 1/2 of 2 was. So I'm going to circle that half. Oh, and 1/2 of 2 is 1. Did you get that, children? I bet you did. Well done. Okay, guys, so it's activity time now, and you need to do this activity in pairs. Now, you might want to do it with a friend. You might want to do it with a grandparent if you live with your grandparents. You might want to do it with your mum or your dad or your brother and sister, whoever you're with. And if you are on your own, that's fine, because you can have a go at doing it independently. Okay? All right, guys, so the activity we're going to be doing. You will need some small objects, 20 small objects like cubes, and you'll need 2 paper plates or 2 bowls. Okay? Now, what you're going to do is you're going to give your partner some cubes. So you might give them 10 cubes. Okay, you're going to give them 10 cubes. Now, you need to try and share the cubes so each of you gets half of them. Okay, so you can have a go together. You get an amount, so you might pick 10, you might have 10 cubes, and I want you to share the counters or the cubes so that each of you gets half. Okay, so you're halving them. Now, I'm going to give you a hint, children. Remember that if a number is halved equally, it means that both of you will have the same amount. Okay, so if you halved your 10 cubes, I would know that one of you would get 5 and the other person would get 5, because half of 10 is 5 and the other half of 10 is 5. Okay, so you'll have an equal amount each. If one of you had 11 and one of you had 9, is that equal? Are they equal groups? They're not, are they? That's not half. Because when you halve something, they have to have 2 groups that are exactly the same. Now, I do have a challenge for you, children. Can all the numbers be halved equally? I think you'll enjoy that challenge, some of you. Go on, guys, you can all do it. Okay, children, so now we've become experts at halving amounts, halving things. Let's think about the other fraction that we learnt about last week. Can you remember the other fraction that we learnt about? It was quarter, wasn't it? We learnt about quarters. Quarters. If we split something into quarters, children, can you remember how many parts do we split it into? The picture might give you a clue. Yeah, if we split it into something into quarters, if we want to find quarters, we have to split it into 4 groups, 4 parts. Let's have a look at this problem, and we're going to see if we can find what a quarter is. So there are 8 cupcakes. There are 8 cupcakes again. They look delicious. These children look very excited. And Mum says that if she gives each child a quarter of the cakes, then they'll each have an equal amount. They'll have the same amount. Is Mum right? Let's find out. So children, when we want to find a quarter of something, we split it into 4 parts. Okay, so we have our 8 cakes, that's our whole number, we've got 8, okay, and we're going to share it between the 4 children. And if we're sharing it into 4 groups, we are sharing it into quarters. Quarters. Remember that quarters is when we split it into 4. We share it into 4 groups. So we're going to share these 8 cupcakes between the 4 children and see if we can work out what each child gets. So each child will get a quarter of the 8 cupcakes. And how many cupcakes is a quarter? So there are my 4 plates for the 4 children. Right, so one cupcake is going to the orange plate. The next cupcake is going to the blue plate. We're doing it fairly, making sure they each get one. We'll go back to the orange plate, and then we go back to the blue plate. Give that one to the yellow and that to the green. Oh, we've shared out all our 8 cupcakes. Okay, we've shared out all of our 8 cupcakes. So each child has a quarter of those 8 cupcakes. And they each have 2. The orange group has 2 cupcakes. The blue group has 2 cupcakes. The yellow group has 2 cupcakes. The green group has 2 cupcakes. They're all equal. And if we add 2, add 2, add 2, add 2, it will make our whole number our 8, because that's how many cupcakes we started with. So children, you did a brilliant job then, because you helped. We wanted to find what a quarter of 8 is, and 1/4 of 8 is 2. Okay, because each child, the 4 children, they each get 2 cupcakes. So a quarter of 8 is 2. Okay guys, are you ready for our next challenge? Let's have a look at our problem. Oh, what a beautiful puppy. What's this puppy's name? Oh, Spud. So Spud the dog has found 12 bones in a hole. So Spud's found 12 bones in a hole. There are Spud's 12 bones that he's found. Now Spud is only a puppy. He can't eat all of those 12 bones. He's a very sensible dog. So he decides he wants to take a quarter of the bones home. He only wants to take 1/4 of the bones home. How could we do that, children? What do we know about quarters? If we have 12 bones, okay, he only wants to take 1/4. How are we going to work that out? What do you think we're going to do? Let's find out how we could do this, children. So if we want to find out what 1/4 is, we have to share the bones into 4 parts, into 4 groups. Okay, because a quarter is when we've shared something into 4 groups, 4 parts. A quarter is 1 out of 4. Okay, so we're splitting it into 4 parts. So what we need to do first is we need to share the bones between 4 groups. Let's do that, children. Here are my 4 plates. Let's start sharing the bones, okay, into the 4 plates. We're going to split the bones into quarters. So 1 bone will go here. Here we go. Watch how I'm sharing the bones out fairly and equally. What a brilliant job I am doing. Well done. So now I've shared out my 12 bones into 4 groups. And we know if we split something into 4 groups, we have split it into quarters. Okay? So now we have split the bones into 4 parts. We now have 4 quarters. Now, Spud, how many quarters did he want to take home? He only wants to take a quarter. That means he only wants to take 1 quarter of the bones home. So let's circle 1 quarter. Let's circle 1 group. There we go. Now that's 1 quarter of the bones. That's all that Spud wants to take home. So 1 quarter, a quarter of 12 is 3. Spud will take home 3 bones. Okay, because he only wants to take home a quarter. He only wants to take 1 group out of the 4. Well done, Spud. Well done, children. Okay, guys, are you ready for your turn? You're going to find a quarter now. You're going to try and find a quarter of an amount. So, I need you to get 4 cubes or 4 little things and 4 bowls. Because if we're finding a quarter of something, we have to split it into 4 parts. Share it into 4 groups. Because a quarter, splitting something into quarters, is when we split it into 4. So there you go. There's my 4 cubes and my 4 bowls. So when we find a quarter of something, we split it into 4 parts. So can you, for me children, with your 4 little things, can you share them into 4 parts? Share them equally out into 4 parts. Pause the video and have a go. Go on, give it a go, children. Okay, so I'm hoping that you have now shared out your 4 cubes into the 4 groups, into quarters. Let's have a look. Let me have a go now. So I'm going to take 1 cube and give it to the blue group. Take another cube and give it to the red group. Take another cube and give it to the purple cube. And another cube and give it to the green group. Now I took my 4 cubes and I shared them. I split them into 4 groups. I shared them into 4 groups. So now we have split the cubes into 4 parts. And if we've split something into 4 parts, we've split it into quarters. Now I only want to find out what 1 quarter is. What is a quarter of 4? So let's circle 1 quarter. Let's circle 1. And there's 1 cube in my 1 quarter. So 1 quarter of 4 is 1. It's 1. Did you get that, children? I bet you did. Well done. Okay, guys, you ready for our next activity time? And again, you're going to be working in pairs. See if you can find someone else to work with. If you're doing it on your own, that's fine. Okay, you can pretend you've got a friend. All right? So you need cubes again. I'd like you to get 20 cubes or 20 things. But this time, because we're splitting it into quarters, we need to split it into how many parts? 4. Because when we're splitting something into quarters, we split it into 4 parts. So you need 4 plates or 4 bowls. So you're going to give your partner, your pair, a number of cubes. So you might give your partner 8 cubes. You'd say, here you go, we've got 8 cubes. Now, with your partner, you need to try to share the counters into 4 quarters. Into 4 quarters. You're going to share it into 4 groups. Now remember that if a number is split into quarters, it means that both of you will have, it means that all the groups will have the same amount. So all the groups will have the same amount, okay? So you would have 4 groups all with the same amount. Can all numbers be split into quarters equally? Have a try, children. Have a try with some different numbers of cubes and put them in and split them into quarters, into 4 groups. Thanks for joining me this week, children. I've been really impressed. I can't wait to see what some of you have been up to, and I know I'll be doing this with some of the children in my class. So well done, okay? You've done a brilliant job. We're going to become fraction experts. Well done, guys. Bye.